We have four amazing speakers. I'm going to have each person introduce themselves. Erez, I'm going to have you go first. Just a quick little intro. But then Tim, Gabriel, and Mary Brook, in addition to just a quick intro about yourself, I want you to share why you joined the company. Obviously, Erez, you built the company, so that would be kind of weird to have you say that. So, Erez, if you could just introduce yourself first, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and I would say, Keith, thank you so much for having us on. Erez Kaminski, founder, CEO of Ketrix. I'd say that I'm one of many people who built the company. I wouldn't say I built it. I'm a participant. Um, so what Ketrix is a way for people all over the world to design, develop, test, and deploy highly regulated medical software and other types of regulated applications to make them more featureful, cheaper, and help them arrive faster at a higher quality. So if you think of like an app for diabetes management or a surgical robot or AI for radiology that can look at a X-ray or a CT scan of your lungs and or an MRI and identify a tumor. All those are live clients we have today, partners that use us to do those types of functions. For me, it all comes down to um, kind of family. Like I have family members who have implantable medical devices. Over the years, they've had challenges with those devices. I've met a lot of people like them through their community work and advocacy work for patients. And many years ago, I used to lead AI for a large pharmaceutical company called Amgen and felt like I needed to try and do something to accelerate the rate of safe innovation. And that's really what we're trying to do here, and what we're trying to find other people to join our journey and do with us is how can you help 100 million patients by the year 2030 get access to better healthcare through automation?
Perfect. Tim, can you share a bit about your background and your current role and why you joined?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Keith. And yeah, hi everyone. So Tim Brodeur here. Actually just joined Ketrix 3 weeks ago. So the newest member of the Ketrix team on this call. Based in Boston, and a little bit about my background, right? I've been in healthcare or life sciences technology my entire career. Feel fortunate that was able to join a company like Viva Systems when the R&D vault was actually a newer technology that was being deployed. So kind of had front row seats to, seeing what it takes to bring regulated systems to the cloud, which, now we're kind of bringing things into an AI native world, right? So kind of shifting our perspective there. Had an opportunity there to lead professional services, also got into customer success, thinking about how we deliver value to customers globally. So from North America, Europe, and Asia Pac. Um, Amazing experience. But then also, as I reached that point in my background, I kind of thought of, you know, is there an ability to deliver impact even on a smaller scale? So I went to a smaller company at the time called Benchling. They've grown since then, but actually helped stand up their customer success practice from actually, I was technically the first CSM, I think, there, even though I do not have a scientific background. Hired some amazing scientists to help our customers there and help scale that team. Then in this journey to go smaller and smaller, I went to a company called Causally, who actually is an AI platform for biomedical researchers, serving some large customers like Novartis. And it's just my background, just giving you a sense of that. Now I'm actually going to to Ketrix here, as you can see, solving problems. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm here is this idea of solving really hard problems, which is the problem in front of us, right? Bringing these regulated solutions to patients faster. It's hard to do. And I think Ketrix has kind of unlocked an interoperability here, which is really interesting. So if you compound that with the people you see on this Zoom here, the leadership team, and then also the product, right? The product is real, it's delivering impact. So kind of jammed it all in there, Keith, a little bit about background, and also, why I joined. And also the fact that it's in Boston is critical for me, right? My family's here, my roots are here, and that was another big draw for me. So happy to be here.
Perfect. Mary Brook, you're next.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey everyone. Thanks again, Keith, for getting this together. Just fantastic. I'll just start out by saying I love the Boston tech scene, and so very excited to be connecting with all of you today. I'm the Chief Business Officer here at Ketrix, but have spent about the past 16, 17 years in the healthcare and life sciences space. I actually was working for about a decade at a startup incubator in Seattle. We carved out one of our companies and moved it here to the Boston area. So in 2016, I got the opportunity to move to New England and to run that office and lead the go-to-market team there, which was just a fantastic experience, and absolutely fell in love with all things Boston and New England during that time. Since 2017, 2018, I've worked at a variety of or a couple of different SaaS companies that are in the life sciences space. Norstella, some of you may be familiar with Definitive Healthcare as well. And recently got the opportunity to join Ketrix. Was really looking to get back to that high growth, smaller company where I knew I could come in and make an impact and continue to grow. I've always found myself sort of at that at that intersection of innovation and patient outcomes. So the fact that not only is Ketryx, a highly innovative company, we're AI first, which was really exciting at this point, like trying to think about a career change. Really, at the end of the day, it's about the patients that we're impacting downstream by helping the teams that we work with move faster and create safer products for the life sciences industry too. So it's a little bit of my background and the reason I joined Ketryx, and happy to be here.
Perfect. All right, Gabriel, looking at your LinkedIn, I think is a good example of the potential of joining Ketrix because you've held different roles. So if you could share more about your background and why you joined.
Absolutely. Done a bunch of different things since joining Ketrix. So I studied computer science and I started my career actually as a cybersecurity researcher out at the MITRE Corporation just outside of Boston. I went back to school at MIT and during that journey spent time at Amgen, same company that Erez worked at, and ran into a lot of the challenges that our customers that we help today at Ketrix face, which is how do we take technology and apply it in a regulated space. I joined Ketrix 2.5 years ago and am now the head of product here at Ketrix. But really the focus of the first, I would say, 2 years was helping develop the product and building out the way in which we help our customers and prospects understand and evaluate Ketrix. So that journey, is what has led me here to lead product. And just to share a little bit about why I joined in the first place, I like to break it down into 3 different areas. The first is around the problem, which I covered a little bit. The second is around the leaders, and the third is around the solution. So the problem is something that came up in my work at the MITRE Corporation, at Amgen. It's pervasive across every regulated industry, and we can get into that a little bit later. The second was just the group of leaders that Erez has brought together. Solving the problem of delivering regulated software is not a problem that can be solved just with a piece of software. You would need to provide a platform, which includes services from Tim's side, communicating the solution from Mary Brook's side, and then ultimately the platform itself, which helps you do a lot of the automation. So I think the leaders that had come together around this company were very exciting. And then the final component, which is on the solution, which I always share with folks that are thinking about joining, is that we made the intentional decision to build Ketrix in Ketrix early on. Sort of this recursive idea of, hey, if we're going to, provide a platform to our customers to build regulated software, then maybe we should build regulated software with our own platform. And this has driven a lot of right decisions around the product, and particularly around how to use AI and agents to accelerate workflows. Because it's only until you really deeply understand a use case in this kind of new AI world that you can deliver the right solution and build trust with users as they interact with that solution. So those are the 3 kind of core reasons why I joined Ketrix and a little bit around my background.
Perfect. Erez, if you could just expand on that, I guess, with Gabriel, just gave us some insights as to some of the problem set that you guys are solving, but what did you notice? And then how is your platform helping?
Yeah, so first, I think Gabriel also on LinkedIn, but also you forgot to mention Gabriel is also our first intern. So he went from intern to the head of product
Wow.
in the
Okay.
last 2.5 years.
See, this is why
Uh,
I'm such an advocate of joining startups because you can have that, ability just to, continue to rapidly grow your career at such an
yeah.
amazing
And,
pace.
and
So,
at this point, he manages a large multinational team, hiring a lot. So we're very, very proud of the amazing work he's done here. Um, So the story for me on like how do you do this and why do it this way starts when I was hired by Amgen, which is the world's largest biopharmaceutical company here in Kendall Square, actually. We're maybe a block from Amgen right now because our office is in one Main Street, their office is in one Kendall Square, and or in Kendall Square One, however they call that facility. And coming in from a tech company. I used to work at Wolfram Research, which is another company that has roots in Boston, that helps build Mathematica, Wolfram Alpha, and the Wolfram Cloud, one of the most innovative companies in scientific computing, artificial intelligence. A lot of what we call AI kind of started in that company, including Google. Google folks, Sergey used to be an intern there a long time ago, before he started Google. And I was hired by Amgen to help figure out what is the future of AI in medicine and how that applies to their medical device operations, drug development, and other activities. And I just found it in the industry to be, it's so difficult in biopharma and medical devices and life science to build software and AI. And I think we were lucky to realize that it's not just software and AI, it's generally regulated products, the hardware systems, the biochemical systems, the manufacturing systems. And we realized that you need, on one hand, a tool, which is our platform that allows you to interconnect other product development tools with an AI native approach that lets agents and people collaborate together, execute tasks correctly, and generate evidence of that execution correctly. And on the other hand, you need a solution framework, a services framework, a platform, like Gabriel said, that delivers an end-to-end solution. So we can come to a partner like a large pharmaceutical company or a large medical device company and provide them an end-to-end solution from the first engagement and training, showing them how people do regulated AI, regulated software, fast-moving complex systems like surgical robots today to all the way to implementing our solution, our platform, the tool, and then helping them accelerate with guidance, which is to me a really, really fun way of doing this because you get to interact so deeply with these partners. And we feel like we're all kind of working together under the same umbrella in a way. Like we always joke with them that we're part of their company as much as they're and they're part of our company. And that insight that you need kind of a full platform and a specific tool chain that allows people to use AI in a way that is safe and reliable. That's what started Ketrix. And then we had to realize, well, our tool is going to be used in this very complicated safety critical way. So we should also regulate our tool. So we were the first company that I'm aware of to certify their product, which is not a medical device, as a medical device, which is a very burdensome thing to do. And most people would tell you, well, that would make sense because that'll make your, 10 times more expensive, 100 times more expensive, unless you've cracked this completely and you actually have a way to do this much faster and cheaper. And luckily we have, and we've seen that that level of assurance is really helping our clients make sure that we're doing the right thing for them.
yeah, and it's such a perfect use case for AI. And I think it's important to note, like your involvement in AI is going back many years. It's not like you are like, oh, hey, this is a great AI use case. This is something that's native to you.
Yeah, I've been writing, reading, um, speaking about the application of AI for more than a decade. I was back before Wolfram. I used to be a scientist. I used to work on basically like a spark plug for a fusion reactor, or at least theoretically how we'd build one. And we built one of the first application of using machine learning to accelerate the simulation of fusion reactors, which is a new type of energy source that's finally starting to come online in the next 10, 20 years or so. And uh, that's where I kind of saw the power that neural networks have. And then, like obviously, the Wolfram research, there was pretty massive applications of it everywhere, and this whole kind of transformer revolution happened while I was from research. And then after Amgen, I went to MIT and I did a lot of research in this, kind of started to talk about the limits of analytics and machine learning models during black swan events like COVID-19. That was my dissertation or thesis from MIT. And that made me think, like, how does that apply to medical devices? Like, how do we know if we built the right thing? And met a lot of other great, smart people who felt the same way, and we kind of got them all in a room and started thinking, like, how would you create infrastructure to power the future of AI-enabled devices, whether that's a phone app or a cloud-based system that scans radiology images, or a surgical robot, or a robot itself, right, that is going and fixing cars and taking care of people. And how do you make sure that you can trust that they're going to do things safely? That's something that, like, working in AI for so long, I keep thinking about. I'll show an example. It's so simple to think of. In COVID-19, a lot of companies, they used forecasting model to decide on their supply chain. How much material do I need? How much stuff do I need? One way we know those forecasting models basically kind of didn't work well is the fact that initially we didn't have enough masks. Right, that's just a forecasting model. They said, no, well, tomorrow you need 100 masks, not even thinking that maybe sometimes something special happens and you actually need 100 million masks, right? And then the other thing that happened is, in a lot of companies, these forecasting models, while demand at COVID started to drop, the forecasting models kept predicting the same demand, maybe slightly less than this year. But it took them a long time to realize that basically, demand initially for the first 6 months of COVID-19 went down by 80+% for most manufacturing companies. And people literally needed to unplug the models and say, whoa, 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 like, I can't keep ordering parts as if everything is okay. And now, you fast forward and you start thinking we're getting into this world where AI is going to run everything we do. If we don't know where the AI is, what it is doing, what it is supposed to do, what's the risk of that? How are we ever going to unplug it when we realize that it just is not making the right decision? And it was so obvious during COVID that some factories were, their models were telling them, no, no, you should still order 10,000 parts, when in reality, they can't sell 80 to 90% of that, and they would have gone bankrupt doing that. So those things kind of come together doing that in from kind of basic plasma physics and fusion science to widely scaled web apps like Wolfram Alpha, Siri, to the research at MIT, and now helping people. Yeah, I've been doing it for a while, and I'm very proud to say that a certain portion, about 2 or 3% of all FDA approvals that are for AI systems last year were done in Ketrix, and we think that number is going to go rapidly up this year. So, been
That's
doing it for a
awesome.
while, but I got to tell you, I still felt 10 years ago that I missed the train. It was so hyped up 10 years ago, I knew I missed it. So it's fun to be here still, and for it to still be the topic of the day.
Well, we have the leaders of three functional areas. So sales, customer success and delivery, and product management. So I want to break down each functional area. So I guess let's start off with sales, Mary Brooke. So if you can outline what your team looks like, what does the sales process look like, and what makes somebody successful at the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll kind of cover our entire kind of pre-sales and sales motion. So we've got it right now about 20 professionals that sit across this team. That looks like 10 AEs. We've got about 5 BDRs and about 5 solutions engineers as well too. Looking to grow that team also. So if anyone's listening to this and wants to give us a shout, please do. It's an incredible team to work with. Our team is segmented by market size. So generally what you would think of, we think about growth, mid-market, what we affectionately call megaprise, which is a combination of our mega cap and enterprise customers too. And as far as like kind of day to day and what that looks like for our sales team, it looks different across those segments, right? So if you are thinking of kind of moving fast within the growth and mid-market segment for implementation and some of the more like greenfield type approaches to for how we solution those customers there on the phone, with probably 15 to 20 customers, our prospects any given week, talking about how Ketrix can help them. If you think about our enterprise segment, that looks a little bit different, right? These are more tailored, bespoke, highly consultative type sales motions and sales cycles where we really work in more of a kind of like pseudo pod structure. It's one to one to one with a BDR, an SE, and an AE, thinking about how we implement those two. And really, everybody has the same goal, is like listening to the prospects, thinking about, and customers thinking about how Ketrix would work best for them. Is that just a quick AI lift and the AI agents and assistants working with them, or is that a full implementation across their ALM components too? So, yeah, we've got about 20 people that are really focused on that internally.
Very cool. All right, let's talk about product management next. Gabriel.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the product management side, we have 3 product managers today. On design, we have a head of design and 2 designers, and around, say, 20 to 25 developers. I will say that the product management team is split across our Vienna R&D site, Vienna, Austria, and here in Boston. So, as a product manager, you get to work not only across many different functional areas as you do as a product manager, but also collaborate closely with the folks on Vienna. And if you like to travel, also do a bit of traveling over to that site to meet the team. I will also share that we're looking for, I would say, like 2 different types of profiles. The first profile is someone that has experience with managing a SaaS product, ideally something that incorporates generative AI into workflows. Someone that has experience designing and measuring intentional feedback loops and evaluating the performance of AI systems. The second type of profile that we see on the team is someone that comes from the industry. So someone that has built regulated products before. Maybe they've been very passionate about process improvements in the delivery of a regulated product. I think particularly for these AI use cases, having someone with deep knowledge around the problem is almost more important than having deep expertise around how to build AI systems. We have an incredible AI team, and our head of AI is ready to support any sort of the implementation and technical component, but really identifying and understanding the use case is critical. The other thing I would share is for those that want to get into product management, I'm a big proponent of the solutions engineering team or the pre-sales team as a great place to land, as well as on the customer success and delivery on Tim's team, as a place to come build experience working with customers, come build experience working in a startup in an environment where you do need to collaborate across many different functions, and getting to know our customer and our product. It's in those roles that you get an amazing foundation and grow into that product management role. So even for those that don't necessarily have a product background but want to get into it, that's typically how we see folks end up in the product world.
That's great advice
I think
too.
that's everything. I'll pass it to Tim. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice because there's no one graduates with a degree from product as a product manager. So there's always paths on how do you get there. So that's great feedback. All right, Tim, customer success and delivery.
Absolutely. So I think it's appropriate for me to go last here because if you think about customer success and delivery, it's adaptive to the sales motion and it's also adaptive to the product. And it's kind of in this connective tissue area, right? Of what are the segments we sell into? What are the customer profiles that we serve? What are the problems that we solve, Gabriel, right? To that point, what expertise do we need to do that? So, I think at our stage, it's actually really interesting if you're not interested in maybe sales or product, there's this nice hybrid, which is client solutions, right? Because that's the way I think about it. It's kind of this Venn diagram of being, really passionate about the problem you're solving, but also having a commercial lens like Mary Brook's team, understanding, what is the impact or what is our time to value going to be with this customer? How can I deliver value as quickly as possible for our customers so that they can get more value out of Ketrix and actually expand the footprint, but also solving the right problem, right? The right use cases that Gabriel is talking about. So I really, that's where in my career too, I've really found a home in success and delivery because you can kind of have that commercial side of things, right? Work with customers every day, but also work with a really cool product, right? On that side. So if you think about, our team right now. So again, I'm 3 weeks in and looking at the org, we're about 20 people right now. We have various levels of seniority across the team. We actually have a kind of a new grad associate level where folks right out of college are joining the workforce, joining Ketrix, learning our product, and helping establish a career right here and building things from the ground up, right? And I really love that feeder system. One thing I'm passionate about too is talent development, and I think one of the things that really taught me about that in my career was the consultant development program at Viva, which is a tremendous program that has created a lot of great leaders. And it's just a great way to think about how people can, just like the Gabriel story, right? Coming in at that level and, kind of becoming the head of product. So there's that level. We also have a manager level as well. And then we go up to director. And as of right now, the structure is that people do a lot of different things, right? So we're doing everything from implementation, right? So actually doing the requirements gathering, the configuration, the migrations, the integrations of the systems, the project management of that. How is this being managed in a regulated setting? The stakeholder management of that. How are we working, various levels of the organization from a governance perspective? And then, value realization. How do we make sure that we're setting ourselves up for an expanded partnership, right, from a customer success side. So lots of different roles, within that area. So I would encourage folks that have a delivery background, have worked in implementation before, have worked actually in consulting as well. I think that's actually a really good profile for us as well. And then folks that are technical, because again, this is a technical product. So even the software engineering profile of someone who wants to it understands code, but is also someone who wants to work with customers, come talk to us, right? I think this is the cross section here of skills that we're looking at. So yeah, just a little bit about the org there.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, Tim, that I feel like Gabriel said, a lot of our most successful employees actually started there and are now doing a variety of things from product management to quality, to some folks who are now transitioning into pre-sales. You could kind of do whatever you want to do after you come and understand how customers gain value from the platform and how that looks. And we're seeing a lot of folks coming to us and saying, I used to be a software engineer. I want a more customer-facing role, and I want to learn how to manage large accounts. And I think one of the most exciting things in the group under you, Tim, is people are getting real experience working with both large startups, but also Fortune 500 companies every single day and getting kind of experience that'll be very hard to get anywhere else.
Well, I do want to throw a question that came up in the mix here. So I think a lot of people that don't have that life sciences, pharma, healthcare background, but are eager to get into that industry because they see the impact and obviously the mission of these companies like Ketryx. So what advice would you have? Like, is Ketrix open to hiring people that don't have that industry background? And how do people go about getting that experience, or what's a path to helping with that? So it's a toss-up question
Yeah,
for everybody.
I'll start, but I feel like Gabriel, you could probably add more than most because you came here with pretty light life science experiments. I know you interned at Amgen, but it's not like you have like many, many years, and others can. And I'll just say that if you want to get that experience and learn how to life science works, and this would be the best place to do that because we're open to teaching that. Like we're happy to take folks who have the life science background or have a functional background or are fresh grads and teach them these domains. Very open to that. I don't know if Gabriel, you want to share others about your experience doing here.
Yeah, I think exactly that's right. I think we're looking for people that are ambitious, that have sort of the horsepower, and are passionate and want to get into this industry. I think a lot of the aspects of operating in a regulated environment are things that can be taught, and that we need to teach. I think we as I guess Ketrix as a solution isn't something that's really existed before in this current form. So inevitably we have to do a lot of education around, hey, yes, as we said before, it's this technology and you understand the technology, but also how do you interface with a customer? How do you interface from a change management perspective and help them make improvements that no software can help them do? So I think absolutely there's room there for folks that don't have the industry background.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll just
Yeah.
double down on that real quick too, is that most of my team actually doesn't have a life sciences background, interestingly enough. So prior to my previous two leadership roles, where most people did come from a life sciences background, most people here don't. They have maybe a tech background, or they even have an engineering background, but don't have that healthcare background. So just kind of reinforcing that we are absolutely open to teaching that we're all going to learn together in some form or fashion. So might as well be on the with the healthcare and life sciences focus as well.
Okay. Super helpful. Erez, back to you. So one of the key pillars of a successful company is obviously the people and also the culture. So what's the culture like working at Ketrix?
Yeah. Um, it's a great question because there's the culture, I've been here for a while, so there's a culture I want to have, but at the end of the day, culture is what happens, not what you want to have. And I think Brian Halligan has this great line where he says, culture is what happens when you're not in the room. Um, we have six values we believe in. I think it starts with moving on what matters is probably the number one, and the number two is um, give autonomy and own it. There's a lot of other stuff we focus on, nurturing people, doing hard things, working together. But I think those two really summarize what we're looking for, which is a culture of people who have urgency and an ability to deliver high quality work so they can move on what matters. And then on the other hand, people who want to take on a lot of autonomy and own it end to end. So we give people quite a lot of budget, ownership, responsibility, and then we expect them to conduct themselves, to the highest level and be able to execute to a very high level. So I'd say that's a big part of our culture, like very, very high competency and great clock speed and execution. And then with that is this balanced approach of needing to care for patients and wanting to do the right things and work with good people and take care of themselves and their families and having a great place for families to work and for people who want to be part of a kind of a family style company but are looking for that contribution to something meaningful. So I think that's what really links a lot of people here is smart, good people who want to run fast and do some exciting things together. But again, I feel like Gabriel, Marybrook, and Tim would have better answer to that than I can.
Yeah, what's the
Yeah,
culture
I think
been
the
like since
thing that I'll
joining?
always, oh, sorry.
No, go
I'll
ahead,
just jump in.
Gabriel.
I think the one point I will add, which maybe is a sort of a theme of a few other things that we've talked about, is around collaboration. Is that there's such a cross-disciplinary aspect to what we do that collaboration is super important, particularly at the stage that we're at. So I think whenever I get this question in an interview or on the street, it's always focused around wanting to chase hard problems and being ready to collaborate across disciplines that you may not have a lot of familiarity with.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, part of the culture too, is a product excellence culture. Is what I've seen. Meaning, we kind of orient a lot towards the excellence of our product. And I think that's shown in a lot of the ways that we collaborate, right, Gabriel? So it's not like, hey, I'm on this team or I'm on that team. It's like, what do we need to do to drive value for our customers through the product? And I think, that sometimes within itself kind of creates its own energy. I've noticed that, right, being here, even and one example of that is, I'm VP, whatever, but Erez, you got to implement an SMB customer. So it's product orientation, right? And I think that's important.
Yeah, I think product is everything, right? You want to be a product native company, but it all come down to the product and how people use it. And I know I've just realized, Keith, that I've been answering people on the chat and it hasn't been going anywhere. So I'll give a second and then I'll say some of the things
Zo-
I've been saying on the chat.
Zoom makes things so easy, not. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, Mary Brook. I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, no, I think product excellence, collaboration, moving on what matters. That's also my favorite value, Erez, although you and I haven't talked about that. I think that's absolutely how we need to show up to work every day is prioritizing and moving on not only what matters internally, but also moving on what matters to our customers too. I say this about sales. I'll say this just in general about Ketrix, having a high sense of urgency and a really like we're a high growth, fast moving company. And so the people that we hire generally excel in that type of environment as well, also.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, MB. So let me address some of these questions here, Keith, if that's okay. I'm seeing a
Sure.
lot of great
Yeah.
questions from Paul here. I see that Ketryx powers three of the world's top five medtech companies and 25% of Fortune 500 medtech. What positive business income have these companies seen? Wow, I would say that they are making products that are safer. I think they would uniformly agree to that, are more secure, are more featureful than they were now, and their cost per feature has gone down. So, in some ways, the device is cheaper. Um, and more than that, they're able to do more products and more product lines. So we're just seeing, kind of immense competitive advantage, a lot of acceleration in the features they're delivering and launching more products rapidly. And that's on top of reducing costs. I saw a great question here from Nabila about if she was working in a consulting firm and has some software background and is now thinking how to transition from business to tech, which team is the most suitable. Um, I would say that that's actually a really good segment to Tim's team, where they are using a lot of people with, they have a lot of folks that have this deep consulting background and a scientific or software background that is able to connect to the customers and help them. Um, Another great question here from Kathleen: how do I kind of, as a marketing person, come learn about this world and apply? So I'd say come look at our webinars. We have a lot of free webinars. Um, and you can come get educated before you even start working with us. And so excited for all these questions. Um,
Yeah,
and then I
like
don't really want
I would
anyone.
add, like, there's one more from Joe Webster. He's like, you've helped customers move from annual to much faster release cycles. What has been the most surprising or significant impact you've seen this increased speed have on customers' product or team?
So we're seeing there, and Gabriel, you can help or share some thoughts. Is we're seeing them doing more products, more features in the products, and delivering safer products. Because of the way we monitor it, we have this idea called zero lag safety, where the AI helps you check things that you would never have human capacity to check, and triple check and quadruple check, and then make sure that things are in line. And I think most people say that their experience of the product is actually safer.
Cool.
Yep. And
Um,
the other thing, oh, I would just add one more thing in there, Keith, which is,
mhm.
We have many customers who, they develop a product, but that product isn't necessarily immediately regulated. It's not immediately a medical device. And traditionally, these teams have waited to bring those products under sort of the constraints of their quality system. And what we've seen in some of or many of our customers is that they'll bring these products under their quality systems earlier because the documentation requirement, or at least the manual work required for doing the documentation requirement, is so much less with Ketrix. And what this allows them to do is essentially shift left a lot of the work that's required to take a product that starts out not as regulated and then needs to transition into becoming a regulated product. So that's one example. And then we have a number of of customers that have never built they've never built a medical device before, but they have a very popular digital health app, or they have a software that they've started already to sell into a regulated industry, and their customers are starting to ask around how they can ensure that it's compliant to specific standards and regulations. So I think a lot of it, the other component which we didn't capture is that speed to market, is how do you we've helped customers get their products faster to market, whether that's sold internally to a pharma company or sold on the market as a mobile application with medical device components.
Perfect. Okay. Shri, I'm going to get back to your question in a second. That's a great one. But I want to go through each team. So Mary Brook, like, what positions are you actually hiring for like now? And like, what's the general profile you're looking for? We talked about some of the members of your team don't have that pharma, life sciences background, but are there any roles that do require that? So if you could just give an overview of what you're specifically hiring for.
Yeah, absolutely. Hiring across all the roles on my team. So that looks like all AEs, meaning if you're growth, mid-market, or have more enterprise experience there, solutions engineers and senior solutions engineers as well, and then BDRs also. So I think what's really interesting and exciting about that, hopefully to this group or to anyone who's listening afterwards, is that the experience level across all those roles and varies drastically, right? So maybe you're a fresh college grad and you're just looking to get into the Boston tech scene, you're looking for an AI first company, or you're looking to dip your toes in healthcare. Like that's a great place for a BDR to start, and we'd love to have you there as well. Maybe you've been in a SaaS, company in Boston for a little bit, but you're looking to get into healthcare. So you're familiar with the sales cycles of tech companies and selling SaaS, but you're interested in life sciences or interested in this AI component too and want to get into an AI first company. Like that's a great place for AEs to think about and to come talk to us too. And then we covered it a little bit on the solutions engineering side, but maybe you have a software engineering background, but you're looking to be a little bit more commercial facing. You want to, I would say, have some fun on the sales side or the commercial lens component of the business too. Like we'd love to talk to you on the solutions engineering team. And then I think like just in general profile that we look for candidates, we talked about it a little bit, but intellectual curiosity, absolutely. Like do you lean in and are you interested in constant learning, both in our industry and our product and from our customers also? Are you creative? Like, can you think about different ways to solve problems and solutions as well? And number one is that, how are you prioritizing your day, your week, your month? Are you moving on what matters for you? Are you moving on what matters for Ketryx? But most importantly, are you moving on what matters for our customers too? So that's what we're looking for on the commercial side.
Perfect. Tim, how about customer success and delivery?
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty similar to what Mary Brook is saying here in terms of this idea of entry level, right? So, we're looking for associates that are just coming right out of university, looking for, have a software engineering background, have a technical background. That's usually sort of what we're seeing as a baseline, for skill to sort of grasp the concepts, quickly kind of bring value to customers, right? Within that, but it's definitely a role that's really important to the organization, like we talked about. So that associate level is really important. And as you sort of look at more experience, we're also looking at manager and director level client operations folks. So these folks would actually have more experience delivering in regulated environments, actually working probably with top 20, top 10 med device, biopharma, companies as well is something that we would look at when we go to, let's say, the director level because of the complexity of these ecosystems and, the amount of integrations and stakeholders and things that you have to look at. So that type of background is important, as we look at that. But we are hiring at all levels there. We actually even have some very specific roles within quality assurance and regulatory affairs, where we provide consulting services for those. So that's a very more specialized role. But generally, as Mary Brook was saying, I think there's that passion, that sort of like startup hunger of, can I do something better? Can I do something faster? Do I want to make an impact? And basically looking for people that are chasing impact, right? So if you're chasing impact, this might be the place for you. So connect with me on LinkedIn. I see a few have already come in from the panels.
Perfect.
From the attendees, so it's exciting.
Yeah, please connect with us on LinkedIn. Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Erez,
I'd say, Tim,
could you,
like that's what I'll just say that like people kept on asking, what's the jobs like I need to know life science for? There's really only one job, I think, on the website, which is like this life science consulting, regulatory affairs, and quality consulting. It's lucky because Boston is one of the places in the world that has the highest amount of people with that background. But I would say that's the only job in the entire company that you probably need to have some specific background here for. So there's a lot of other opportunities. But sorry, Keith, you were saying?
yeah, so you just announced a $39 million Series B round of funding. Obviously, there's a lot of momentum at the company. So if you could just expand on kind of what's the latest at Ketryx, that'd be great.
Yeah, so Ketryx, Boston-based, Boston-born, originally funded by MIT's E14 Fund, later by Lightspeed Venture Partners, one of the world's largest venture capital funds. chairmans of Lightspeed, Guru, Chahal, and Arif are work with us, help us accelerate. And then most recently, we raised a $39 million round from Transformation Capital, which is a Boston-based firm in the Back Bay that focuses on healthcare, IT, Series B, and early growth. Very fortunate to have them join our team. Vinay Shah from their firm is joining our board. And we've had so much growth since the Series A that what we need is just have enough resources to expand the capacity of the team and grow it in all directions, like everybody's been saying. Hopefully that's been a theme. We are hiring in all roles, in all locations. Um, I don't think there is a function that is not hiring right now, from marketing, events management, office manager, human resources, talent acquisition, to every one of the functional areas. Folks talked about product. I would say three times over product. Three product managers, not enough for us yet. And so now the idea is to leverage the success we've had in life science and particularly medical devices to help more companies in life science achieve these weekly, daily release cycles, and then go do it for any other regulated industry. And I've worked in regulation now for a long time. I see some questions from Paul about hallucinations, which I'm happy to talk about. And we even have Paul a webinar that talks about that, how to build validated AI systems. And I've helped write some of the standards that medical device manufacturers and the FDA rely on. And I could say that this is just an amazing time to do this work. There is so many people needed to do this work, and so many companies out there are trying to figure out how do you do this. So what we want to do is scale the capability and then help other regulated companies. And I love to replace the word regulated with meaningful, just other meaningful companies, because everything that's really meaningful is regulated. Cars, buses, light bulbs, they can burn your house down and so on. Do that faster. So that's what we're going to do with this Series B. And we've already gotten started.
Awesome. Gabriel, you talked about your hiring earlier, so I didn't want people to think that I skipped over you, but was there anything anything that you wanted to add beyond that?
No, the only I'll add just one thing, which is we are also hiring a service designer here in Boston, and this person, ideally has, substantial experience in design, and they're excited to work very closely with customers, and the product managers that are based in Boston. So, focused a lot on kind of customer experience mapping, and user journey mapping would be more of a main focus for that individual. And then we're also looking for an associate PM role. So someone that's a bit more junior in their PM work, or have come from an adjacent role as a developer that's been pulled into PM activities, for example. So that's all I wanted to share, but echo all that Tim and Mary Brook shared around kind of the characteristics of individuals that we're looking for.
Perfect. Do you think you'll ever have a need for an intern? Someone asked for a PM intern.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. We've had a number of interns come through Ketrix, so including me. So we'll look at putting a rec up for that.
Perfect. Erez, one of the questions I remember asking you during our podcast interview was the FDA and how they, are, because obviously they're receiving the outcome of what Ketrix is doing. So how does the FDA involved? Are there any challenges or regulation things that come up as it relates to the FDA side of the equation?
Yeah, I think FDA, like us, is a body that is interested in improving public health. Our first US employee was a former FDA official that spent 25 years at the FDA. We fully support the FDA's mission and the way they conduct themselves to achieve that. I do think they have a really hard job, like trying to make sure the drugs and devices deployed to tens of millions of people are safe. Gosh, that's really, really scary to be the signatory on that document. Yeah, it's okay. You can take Advil. People take Advil and can have cardiac arrest. There's all kinds of issues with everything. And so when we partner with them and we talk to them, I think we see a group of people who are genuinely interested in creating innovation and accelerating innovation. And for us, they're a wonderful partner. And I think they're seeing what we're doing, and see it in a positive light. that we're helping people get through submissions faster and creating assurance and ways to document the device that is more in line with how the FDA sees the world. So I think we are totally in the same mindset of how do you help public health and help innovation get to market faster?
And the other question about the hallucination and AI,
Yeah.
like, is there,
Oh, what a
well, it
question.
sounds like a very technical question that
Yeah,
I know that's
I'll
over
just
my
say,
head,
yeah,
but
one is I'll say that we have a great webinar for it about how do you help with
okay.
AI hallucinations. I'll say that hallucinations, it's not something that it does sometimes, it's what it does all the time. It's always hallucinating. It just when the response is not very good, it feels like it's wrong. But when it is good, it feels right. So when it's wrong, we call it a hallucination. And there are all kinds of ways to get around that we're working through, whether through the interface we've built or through the way we generate the information. And um, there's also ways that people solve that in medical devices. Because I would just say, let's say you have an algorithm to detect blood cancer. It's all statistical. It only will detect 94.7% of blood cancers or of the time it'll only detect correctly. And so that's kind of how you get around these issue of hallucination. But I agree, it's a real big problem. And we've spent an immense amount of time in our product thinking how can an AI native platform not have hallucinations or at least have workflows that ensure that people are checking things that are safety critical. And that's a big focus for us.
Awesome.
Um, I'm seeing also a question about, do I envision Ketrix expanding to other industries? Absolutely. Just a matter of time, and we are working to make sure we're first kind of winning where we are and helping patients in healthcare, and then expanding into other industries like finance.
Um, cool. Well, I think we covered everything. Any parting words from any of our panelists? Mary
No, we're
Brooke, go
looking
ahead.
forward to hearing and talking to you. So please connect with us on LinkedIn. Please check out our careers page on our website and give even Ketrix a follow on LinkedIn because we'd love to stay connected with it. Not only everybody on this call, but continue to stay connected with our Boston friends and colleagues too.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Go to their careers page. They have all their job openings there. There's a lot of them. So hopefully there's something there for you. But Erez, Tim, Gabriel, Mary Brooke, thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And this is recorded, so it will get published on VentureFizz, and you'll probably see it out there in many different forms across LinkedIn and YouTube or whatever. So thanks again, everyone. And until next time, we'll see you. All right. Take care, everyone.